What started as a simple social media post has now grabbed the attention of the President of the United States. A simple suggestion to rebrand U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE, into National Immigration and Customs Enforcement to be called NICE. The post meant to flip the narrative that ICE agents are nice agents. It quickly took off online. Joining me this morning is the woman behind the viral moment, Alyssa Dean. Alyssa, good to have you on the show today. Your post went from X to the president's desk. What a moment for you. What was your reaction when President Trump took your post and put it on Truth Social saying, "Great idea, do it"?
Yes, I was shocked. It was extremely exciting. And then to see it blow up the way it did, with posting it in the White House and different news outlets like Fox, Wall Street Journal, people, it was crazy. So I was not expecting it to get the response it did, but just a really surreal moment.
And how did you find out? Did someone message you? Did you happen to see it yourself?
Someone messaged me, one of my good friends messaged me first, and then just I kind of got swamped with friends reaching out, and I went to the Truth Social and looked, and it was there. So cool.
Wow. So let's talk about the idea of nice. Where did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, so I actually saw a comment on a post of someone, a leftist responding to someone bashing ICE, and the comment said, "ICE is nice," and I was like, that's an amazing idea. What if we actually named ICE nice, and the media would actually have to say nice agents? So it kind of just went from there.
I love it. Well, the word nice agents is now on memes as well. The DOJ even posting nice on its accounts. We're looking at that right now. What's your thoughts on them taking your idea and running with it? This may be the new saying now. This may be the new official wording of ICE agents. It may be turning into nice agents. What's your take?
I love the idea of the name change. I think our ICE agents deserve the rebrand. I love to see Trump troll the media after everything they've put him through. So I think it would be hilarious to have them say nice agents because they are nice.
They really are. They've received a lot of flack lately from the left. So this would change the narrative. Like that was your hope in the beginning. What's your message to federal agents who are out there every day protecting us and our homeland?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important thing, I think. Without ICE agents, there's no border enforcement. And without border enforcement, we don't have a country. I work for the American Border Story, and we work very closely with angel families and victims of illegal alien crime. And we help get their stories out. And it's so tragic, the people who have lost loved ones due to these criminals who should have never been in the country to begin with. So I'm very thankful for ICE and the job they're doing. They're making America safe again, and ICE is nice.
Yes, they are. Well, I know that I've spoken to some ICE agents, and they said that they're even at their office. And I heard a story yesterday how a man, one of the ICE agents, took a piece of paper, wrote the letter N on the piece of paper, cut it out, and taped it next to the ICE sign. So it's catching on everywhere. Great idea. Love it. The president loves it. Homeland Security loves it. It's being posted everywhere in memes as well. So an overnight sensation for you, and your message could change the name of a federal agency. Great job. Good to have you on the show today. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Announced our crime numbers are the best in 125 years. So I am here to protect law enforcement and our great police and ICE and Border Patrol and everybody. I'm here to protect them because they're protecting us. And the job they've done is incredible.
Backing the men and women of law enforcement, make America safe again. Sheriff Richard Mack with us now to expand more on this. Sheriff, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Good morning to you. You just saw the interview. What's your reaction to ICE changing to nice?
I've always been a nice officer. So
You have, I
think it
agree.
really fit. I, I think it's very creative. I think it was a great idea. You know, at first I thought, well, what's the difference? but it is a big difference, and the branding I think will help. And I never thought that the ICE agents were ever out of line, but this I think will help. And uh, I think they've been doing a great job, and it's a miracle what they've pulled off since Trump has been in office. So God bless the nice agents.
Absolutely. They've caught a lot of flack lately with protests going on around the country, specifically Minneapolis. We saw those over the last couple of months. But they're doing their job. They're protecting the homeland. And then they're just guys and women who go out in the
Yeah.
field and protect neighborhoods. And the left continues to attack them. The media continues to attack them. And that's why this viral trend is actually pretty cool, Sheriff, because these officers are truly nice guys. And so
Well,
I would love to see the media actually have to say nice agents were out
nice.
today.
Well, if Minneapolis would just take a look around and see where the sheriffs and local law enforcement are cooperating with NICE and the federal government, uh, they would have what Florida has. Uh, Florida has all 67 sheriffs participating in helping get rid of all the criminals that the Democrat Party and the Biden administration brought into our country, which was the greatest piece of treason and election fraud ever in the history of our country, bringing in terrorist cartels, gangs, Tren de Aragua, and the pedophile rings and human traffickers, sexual exploitation of children. All of those were brought into our country by the Biden administration. And now NICE has got to be picking up the pieces and trying to clean up after the horrible crimes and treason committed by the Biden administration. And these Democrats are still doubling down today, trying to defend these horrible murderers, rapists, and pedophile rings uh, so they can get on the voter rolls. They're literally saying, get these people on the voter rolls. They don't have to show identification. They don't have to show identification to register or to vote. And so this is the icing on the cake of their subterfuge and their treason. And this is what we're having to deal with from the Democrat Party.
Absolutely. That was their intention all along, Sheriff, is to bring them
It
in
was.
by the millions so they could flip the maps and the representation in Congress to Democrats and put them on the voter rolls without any sort of identification and have all of these illegals start voting. But the tides are turning. That's not the case. And we'll talk about it a little later on our show for our viewers. A huge Supreme Court ruling yesterday, which sides with fairness when it comes to congressional maps and how they're laid out. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But you're right. The left has turned ICE, our nice guys and women, into the bad guys, but that's not the case. But, we used to be the silent majority. That's not the case anymore. And I know that these brave men and women, police officers from the local level all the way to the federal level, know that the majority of America supports them, and the left is just lunatics. I mean, they support the criminals before they support our brave men and women who are trying to get the criminals out of our neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's the bottom line on all of that. It's just astonishing the type of criminal element that the Democrat Party has been supporting just so they can win elections. And the Supreme Court did exactly what should have been done way before now. And of course, the Democrat Party is falling apart with this, saying how horrible, uh, degrading the Supreme Court. And yes, I, I don't like when the Supreme Court is divided politically on any decision. My decision at the U.S. Supreme Court was 5-4 split. The 4 Democrats sided with the Clinton administration and the 5 Republicans sided with me. They should be enforcing the Constitution. Even the Democrats who don't like the Constitution should be held accountable to enforce the Constitution of the United States, just like they promised to do. That's why this political posturing at the Supreme Court isn't respected, and it shouldn't be. This should have been unanimous and show that the Democrats don't put their party first, but they actually put the rule of law first. And that's the problem with the Democrats. They never will. Their agenda and their dogma and their goal of accomplishing a political monopoly across our country comes first. And that's why we're having so much trouble with the Democrat Party. And they don't care about freedom. They don't care about national security. They don't care about the American people.
You're absolutely right. They put illegals first. Let's switch gears. We've talked about ICE. Let's talk about another agency in the spotlight this week, Secret Service. Another assassination attempt against President Trump on Saturday night at the DC Hilton, when the attempted assassination took place against the president. His entire cabinet, for the most part, was there. The vice president, the Speaker of the House, Secretary of War, Kennedy was there. The list goes on, all in one room in a hotel. You would think, and we pray, that this would be the most secure building in the entire world that night, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
What's your take? What happened, Sheriff?
Well, there's one little problem, and I don't know how they would have checked this. I guess they could have and maybe should have checked the hotel list, and
Yeah.
and maybe see check the names on the hotel list, see who just came in, maybe check the backgrounds of everybody in the hotel. That's why having it at a hotel instead of at the ballroom at the White House is a security nightmare, because they have hundreds of guests there that they now have to put under their watch. And it doesn't look like that was ever even considered. I don't know how big of a mistake that was, but in retrospect, it looked like it was one. But that's why you don't have it there, because there's too many people they would try to have to account for, and go to the hotels and say, we need the list. And the hotel would say, hey, we can't divulge those. And maybe they should have said, then we can't have it here, because that's too many. That's too big of a security risk. And I I actually thought they did pretty good, but we don't have all the video footage. Yeah, I also thought one thing was really strange. There was a uniformed officer. I don't know if it was an ICE agent or, Secret Service agent, or local police, which they all were there, and that's good. But he stood. One of these guys stood on the table, kind of straddled, and maybe it wasn't the table. He straddled the bar in front of the table, it seemed, and he stood there for about a minute, and then he reached off and went to another location. And it's almost like, yeah, there he is, right there. He just straddled it, and he stood there for about a minute, and then he went to another post and went someplace else. It looked like he didn't know what he was doing. He should have stayed right where he was. If he needed to be there, that's where he should have stayed. And it just looks like, to see all the running around, and it just didn't look like everybody knew what their assignment was. And so this is what happens when you have it in an unfamiliar location, and you have literally hundreds of unknown guests at the hotel. Get the stupid Democrats out of the way. And they're actually suing over that, whether President Trump can have a ballroom at the White House. This is how stupid and dangerous the Democrat Party is in America. Get the ballroom and have the security right there in one location, and they wouldn't have had to worry about all of these guests from all over the country. And that's a security nightmare. And I think they did pretty good for what they were dealt.
Right. And if you think about the ballroom is not going to be for President Trump. It's going to be for presidents in years to come, whether that's Republican,
Exactly.
Democrat, Independent, whatever the case may be. It's not going to be finished, and it's not on tap to be finished until the end of his administration. So this is a ballroom for safety for everyone, but it's President Trump's idea, and they don't like it because it's President Trump's idea, so they want to nix it. Back to Saturday night, though. I love our military. I love our police officers, Secret Service, all of them. They do a great job. Let me just say that first.
Yeah,
However,
like I said, I didn't think they
I was
did.
in
I don't think
Butler,
they did too
Sheriff.
badly.
In the reaction part of it, But it's the proactive part of it. Like, this should never have happened. Butler should never have happened. You know, this and Butler, the farm grounds were secure, but the outside area, this huge, massive place with buildings and trees and all of the things that anyone can go onto and climb onto, not secure. And that's what happened in Butler. Same thing
Well,
happened here. The
yeah,
ballroom was
Butler,
secure,
right. Well, Butler was
but the
Butler
surrounding
was a
area
big
wasn't.
mistake, and that's why because of it looked like they weren't ready for it. So excuse me, but it looked like they really blew it there. They did not have an adequate perimeter set up, uh, and and the suspect there was walking around with a gun, and it was reported by a citizen. Nobody paid attention. Nobody was it was a fiasco, and it was the Biden Secret Service, and I don't think they did. I don't think anybody did very well there at all. The citizens were more vigilant than the actual officers that were supposed to be providing the security there. So no, that somebody's walking on top of a building just 150 yards away, and they didn't notice that. Uh, that should have absolutely been a secured area by them. And then afterwards, the FBI's up there washing off the blood on the roof. Onlookers and tourists were walking all over the crime scene. It was a joke. It was a fiasco. It was Keystone cops, and I am not going to say that Secret Service, FBI, or anybody else did a good job that day. They did not.
When does it change though, Sheriff? I mean, you know, you have Sean Corrin, who was in Butler, Sean Corrin, who's now head of the Secret Service. President Trump trusts him. But do we need change at the
Yeah,
top again? Like, where is it coming from? Like, where are these loopholes coming from? Because President Trump is the most powerful man in the world. He's the most targeted man. All of the left, they want to eliminate him. We'll talk about James Comey here in just a minute. They want to eliminate him. And so we don't have any time. I mean, no room for any loopholes. None, not even the smallest. This man should be protected at all times, at all costs, to the max. And I just feel like it's not getting done.
yeah, and I really worry about the president's family, his grandkids, and others. You know, that's also really a very difficult security thing to provide, and the children and the grandchildren have to be kind of like uh, escorted everywhere. It really makes their lives very difficult. That's one of the reasons why I'd never want to be president. President Trump didn't need this job, and I really appreciate his dedication to it. And it's just he's done so much for our country, and then he has to go through all of this with his grandchildren and children. It's a really difficult thing to do, and it destroys a family relationship in a lot of ways. And it's, you know, just to take a walk outside is almost impossible for any of the family, unless, of course, they have armed guards everywhere and helicopters over hovering above them. And it's just, it's a difficult thing to do. It's really sad that the Democrat Party has created a lot of this hate and vitriol. And do they own a lot of this? They absolutely do, but they will never admit that. And I think Hakeem Jeffries is a slime ball and a half. Same with Chuck Schumer. They can't see anything that's necessary for our country as long as it comes from the mouth of Donald J. Trump. And they are absolutely the problem.
100% they are. And a lot of the problem was sitting in the room on Saturday night as well, the media. The gunshots go one way, Sheriff. Always the Democrats, liberals, trans lovers, whatever the case may be, always against the right. There's violence against conservatives. We saw it with Charlie Kirk. Erica Kirk was in the room on Saturday night, left the ballroom.
Yeah.
in tears, as you can imagine. She addressed the nation yesterday on the Charlie Kirk show. We'll talk to her in just in a moment. We'll get to what she had to say. But the trend, it's always them targeting us. And it's so ironic that the people who are anti-guns are the ones with the guns shooting the 2A amendment fighters who aren't shooting their guns at people. So when does that end too, Sheriff? When does that end, that the left's violence against conservatives just stops? They are just, you talked about the president's family, but we have Charlie Kirk. Any of us, any conservative who goes out there and tries to be a voice to better our nation for generations to come, they're targeting us.
Well, I've just am finishing a book right now that should be out in just a few days, and it's called The Democrat Murder of America. And it is. I got fed up. I have a nationally known co-author, and he and I are just finishing this book, and it's exactly what we're talking about. That the Democrat Party is hell-bent on destroying our country, murdering, lying, cheating, stealing, and murdering. And murder has been part of the Democrat agenda. Look what they did. Look at all of the Democrats that celebrated Charlie Kirk's death. And then now with President Trump, what are they doing? They're celebrating the assassination attempt to promote their own gun control agenda. They didn't say how concerned they were about the president. They said they were concerned that how come the stupid Republicans won't support us in more gun control? We could have saved the president. We could have had. That is so absolutely stupid and ridiculous that they think that their gun control agenda would have had anything to do with saving President Trump or anyone in this country. And so they don't know what they're talking about. It's always just their selfish, stupid agenda. And that's why I'm proud of this book, because we're sick and tired of watching the Democrats murdering America, murdering the American dream, murdering babies in the womb, and they don't care about the sanctity of life, and they just go right on with their agendas instead of doing something good for our country. And we're begging the good members of the Democrat Party to wake up and see what's really happening and join us. You don't have to switch parties. Join us in protecting our country and our president and whoever's in there now. But let's get this thing taken care of, folks. We have got to come together as a people, not as parties, as a people, and say enough is enough, and stop voting for these ignorant, traitor, treasonous Democrats that are in office right now. And it's a shame, but how is it that they're actually ahead in the polls for the 2026 elections? Astonishing that could ever be the case.
Well, I don't really trust the polls anymore. We saw what happened in 2016 when Hillary
That's
was,
for sure.
when she was touted
But
to
I
win,
don't
and
trust
it
the
was
elections
an
either.
amazing.
I don't trust the polls.
You're
or the
right. That's
elections.
another topic for another day. We do not trust the machines. I had to vote in a local election the other day, Sheriff, and had to vote on a machine. And I'm just like, why? When will it change to? But we'll talk about that another time. I also want to talk to you about some other topics in the future. And I want to talk about your book. So you have to come back on and see us soon, because we have a lot to discuss. We could always fill up a whole show with you, Sheriff, because we love having you on. But remind me when your book's starting to come out, when you're finished with it. We'll bring you back on. And then also about your association. I want to pull up the link, because you are a fighter. The people who are part of your organization, they're fighters, and people can go to your website, the CSPOA website, and get involved. Tell us how we can do so.
Well, every American should be part of the CSPOA. It sounds like it's just a law enforcement agency, but it's not. It was created, Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, for the people of this country. This is where you are the boss of your sheriff. He answers to no one else. This is why it's so unique and part of our constitutional republic, that the people are in charge, and the sheriff is the employee of we the people, and he reports only to you, and you've got to be involved in the process of making sure that your sheriff knows what you want him to do. and to follow, uphold, defend, protect, and preserve the United States Constitution, and thus protecting the God-given rights we were blessed with when we were born here. It's essential that the people of this country be a part of this peaceful and effective solution, the Southern Poverty Law Center notwithstanding, who we've been fighting for over 32 years. So folks, join us. Go to cspoa.org and join us. Become a member of the CSPOA posse today.
People always ask me how they can get involved, and I always tell them it's at the local level, and that's a great way to get involved is to join your organization, get involved at the local level, and work together with your sheriff in your town, in your state, so you can, make sure your community's safe. So that's where you start, is at the local level. Sheriff, always a pleasure. Keep in contact. I want to bring you back on soon. Lots to talk about, and always good to have you on.
It was so good to see you at CPAC. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
You too. Thank you. As we just mentioned, Erica Kirk was at the D.C. Hilton Saturday night when the attempted assassination took place against the president. She sat right in the middle of the lion's den with people who write nasty articles about her every single day. She reacted to the criticism on the Charlie Kirk show, and she's spot on. Watch.
Nothing will ever be enough for the evil in this world. Our country has become unrecognizable. These people have perverted the truth to the point that they motivated the murder of my husband. They have continuously tried to assassinate the president, and anyone who stands in their way is labeled hateful, racist, fascist, and every other trigger word that is grossly dishonest. We want the best for our country. They don't. This is why Charlie started Turning Point USA in the first place. He didn't trust the radicalized liberal teachers. And this past Saturday, it was a school teacher, of all people, a school teacher, that attempted to change our history for the worst with bullets. And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me, and I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me? So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me. She introduced herself, and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss." To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face, especially with all of the slander, the lies, accusations that are out there surrounding my husband's murder and myself." And I said to her, "You know what's so interesting? This is my first time at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I find it so fascinating, the dynamic that is going on right now, because everyone is all dressed up, and you guys are co-mingling in and out of each other's cocktail parties. And so for one night, you are able to put aside all of your differences for the sake of freedom of speech. And then by Monday morning, things will go back to being an absolute bloodbath between all of you." To which she replied, literally, she said, "I know. Isn't it special, right? Isn't tonight so special?" And following that conversation, it was time to take our seats, and we went into the big ballroom where the dinner was. And one of the first things I noticed when I walked into that room was quite literally the proximity of the opposing outlets to one another. So you have one table here that's Politico, and another table here that's Fox, and another table here that's WAPO, and you're all crammed together, elbow to elbow. And to make the night even more of a spectacle, every single 10-person table had 10 bottles of wine. And the president of the White House Correspondents Association, she did a great job of trying to make the evening have that feeling of Americana. You know, we were in a room celebrating freedom of speech despite our differences. And the U.S. Marine Band performed the national anthem so beautifully. And then shortly thereafter, gunshots rang out and total chaos ensued. And you guys have all seen what happened next, because there are 1,000 videos of it. So let's discuss that fact for a second. If you were in that room, you had no way of knowing what the status of the shooter was, how many there were, or honestly, really anything. It was just utter chaos. And so during an active shooting, these journalists are using their phones to find moments to capture for clips. They were so concerned about getting a video in a room with an active shooter that they could have accidentally and quite literally filmed themselves being shot. Many of those people have become so desensitized that fight or flight became secondary to the opportunity of putting themselves into the story, which ironically breaks the #1 rule of journalism. And again, ironically enough, the shooter was a teacher. You have these people who are supposed to be teaching our children the future of this country, and he's so unhinged that he is able to teach children by day and then attempt to murder the President of the United States by night.
I am so glad Erica came out. And if you watch her entire interview, she named names for the first time, including Candace Owens, who has been so dirty to her since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But when it comes to the media, she's right. I saw videos coming in of reporters inside the room filming themselves the entire time, under the tables, getting their reaction, putting that together on a reel and posting it on social media in hopes that their social media page will start trending and then they can get monetized. Well, journalism 101, like Erica just mentioned, that's not how it works. You get video of the scene and then you turn that into your newsroom and they put it out for America and the world to see. This is what's going on. We have a crew inside and this is what's going on. You don't video yourself during breaking news. Nobody wants to see you. People want to see what's going on. But these people are so infatuated with themselves and making themselves bigger, and how can they start trending, and how can they get to the next level, and how can they monetize off a click, that they don't care. It's the rhetoric, the lies, the hate, the misinformation against Erica and so many others, all because people want likes and clicks and monetization. She is spot on, and I am a full supporter of Erica Kirk. So when we stop fueling the hate and responding to it, maybe these people will go away. So we've learned in the last 30 minutes that ICE is nice. Our law enforcement officers are the good guys. And Erica Kirk is a widow whose husband was assassinated just 7 months ago. His killer wanted Charlie's message silenced. Charlie's widow, she won't let that happen. So she's not in the wrong. The leftist demons in the media who are attacking her every single day, they're in the wrong. And we can't fuel their hate by reading or responding to their articles or their posts. Because when we stop and their monetization stops and their shares and the likes stop, they'll go away. So we need to join together and make sure that these people who just want their names out there and their pictures out there and their videos and their posts to trend so they can get some money in their account, we have to stop fueling that. And then they'll go away. We have a lot more to come. We'll head to Washington, D.C., where Pete Hegseth, he let lawmakers have it yesterday. His hot takes when we come back.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LINDELLTV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is where you start your day. One click, one feed, one truth. The decision is yours. LindellReport.com. The news you need, the balance you deserve.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV LindelTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Welcome back. Former FBI Director James Comey has turned himself into federal authorities as part of an escalating investigation. This is a dramatic turn for a man who once led the nation's top law enforcement agency and now finds himself on the other side of it. James Comey voluntarily surrendered to authorities yesterday after being formally notified of charges tied to an ongoing federal investigation. It surrounds an 8647 social media post that he posted on X, a picture of seashells with those numbers. Prosecutors say the post was a cryptic message. 86 means kill, 47 refers to the president. The post quickly went viral. He then took it down after scrutiny. The president posting this late last night. 86 is a mob term for kill him. They say 86 him. 8647 means kill President Trump. James Comey, who is a dirty cop, one of the worst, knows this full well. 8 miles out, 6 feet down. Didn't he also lie to the FBI about this? I think so. Comey's legal team coordinated his surrender yesterday, allowing him to appear before a judge without a public arrest scene. I'm told more charges are coming against Comey, so be on the lookout. Republicans across the nation are celebrating this morning after a huge Supreme Court ruling. Their decision could reshape congressional maps all across the country. In a 6-3 ruling, the court struck down Louisiana's congressional map that created a second majority black district, saying the state relied too heavily on race when drawing the lines. The case centered on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the part of the landmark 1965 law used to challenge election maps that dilute minority voting power. Now, they claim you can't draw maps based on race and that the map amounted to an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Republicans are calling the ruling a victory for race-neutral map drawing. The political impact could be significant, affecting future maps in states like Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. Now, as for Louisiana, more big news. After that ruling yesterday, Governor Jeff Landry came out and said that he's now planning to suspend House primary elections that were set for May 16th so a new congressional map can be drawn. The new map in Louisiana will add up to 2 GOP seats. Now over to Capitol Hill, the topic of COVID-19 vaccines. Our Allison Steinberg is standing by with Senator Ron Johnson in the halls of Congress.
Hello, everyone. Allison Steinberg here with LINDELLTV. We're with Senator Ron Johnson, who's doing fantastic work on exposing the lies behind the COVID shot, as you call it, because it's not actually a vaccine. Talk to us about what you covered today in the hearing.
Yeah, well, I call it injection.
Injection,
because it's not a vaccine.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's a platform that turns your body into, every cell in your body into a manufacturing site of the spike protein, which is the most toxic part of the coronavirus. Gee, what could go wrong? Yeah. So what we revealed today was the fact that we uncovered in the documents provided us by Bobby Kennedy's Radical Transparency, the fact that Peter Marks, who's head of CBER, was told on March 1st of 2021 that the mathematical algorithm they were using to analyze the VAERS data was going to hide safety signals. He was told this. And then 26 days later, they used an updated algorithm that unmasked those, told there were 49 cases of severe masking, 25 safety signals of serious adverse events. I mean, sudden cardiac death, pulmonary infarction. I listed about 10 of the 25. Yeah. And rather than pit a medal on Dr. Anna Scharsman, on her suit coat, they shunned her aside. They told her to cease and desist. They didn't want to see it. They continued to use the old system, knowing it was masking. Again, as I said, You don't need a sophisticated mathematical model to take a look at what was happening in 2021 as deaths and adverse events exploded. Even on a adverse event or a death per million dose basis, it was 55 times worse than adverse events on deaths on flu vaccines. Yeah. So again, you didn't need a sophisticated model to show you that, and yet they hid behind that sophisticated mathematical model and continued to claim, as we showed Peter Marks talking to the vaccine and the injection injured, till December 22nd, we're just not seeing a safety signal, even though they were treating those very same individuals, promising them that they would make it public, make the studies public, so the other vaccine injured, injection injured would be treated. Mm-hmm. They never admitted it. They never released that study. They never helped anybody other than those original people they treated at the NIH. And again, they were successfully treating them, not total cures, but it was helping them.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely infuriating and truly criminal, I think. Why do you think this was covered up? I mean, what's your best guess?
I said at the tail end of the hearings, if you're there and you've approved these things, mm-hmm. You want to be responsible for approving a drug that's killing people. Right. When you push them on the public, when you did videos, say, get that jab, and then later on find out, what I was recommending to people, what I was pushing on people, killed them or permanently disabled them. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to admit that. Doctors don't want to admit that. Federal health officials don't want to admit that. Media figures don't want to admit that. Yeah. Members of Congress don't want to admit that. So we are in a massive state of denial here. And it's hard to bust through because nobody wants to admit they're wrong here.
Yeah, it's amazing to hear so many stories and stories of vaccine injured people who are just, their stories are swept under the rug and covered up, and no one wants to talk about it anymore because it's old news. But there has to be accountability. Are we ever going to see full accountability? We know that there was just a criminal referral for a top Fauci advisor. I mean, I think Fauci's next in line here. What do you think?
Well, unfortunately, Joe Biden pardoned him.
Yeah.
So legally, he's out of the woods. But no,
really?
We need to expose what he did.
Yeah.
Bobby Kennedy did a great job, and the real Anthony Fauci really showing what an awful human being Fauci is.
Yeah.
We need to continue that exposure. But no, we've got similar statements to Dr. David Morins in our report of other CDC officials saying, let's talk about this offline. I mean, paraphrasing here, let's not put these things in an email. Yeah. So they stopped providing their analysis between FDA and CDC because there were FOIA requests. One of those was from me. So, no, we've got a real problem inside these agencies. They understand FOIA. They know when they're kind of skirting, when they're doing something, contrary to the public good.
Yeah.
So they hide it. So, we are very fortunate that Bobby Kennedy they had to force him to give us these documents, and that enough of them exist to at least start painting the picture.
Do you think perhaps, an essential next step would be to invalidate the auto pen pardon for Fauci so that he can be prosecuted?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what kind of legal maneuvering, but accountability starts with exposure.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Again, Fauci wants a legacy of the guy who ended the pandemic. That should not be his legacy.
Yeah. And then you said your next hearing is going to likely include victims of the COVID injection, vaccine injured people as well.
Well, yeah, kind of late breaking is where I found out we had these, recordings of their Zoom meetings with Peter Marks, and so we had this treasure trove, and we just had a fraction of them. Yeah. Well, the number of times he was saying, we don't see a safety signal. Think of that. He knew full well. Yeah. He is talking to people that are severely, you have to read Dree Bresson's book. Mm-hmm. Worth a shot. You hear the agony she went through for years. Mm-hmm. She looks pretty in that video, but she had agonizing disabilities. Read it. Peter Marks knew that, and he was just sitting there, bold-faced, lying to him, going, we're not seeing a signal. We're gonna publish a study. We're gonna let the American public know, but just don't say anything about it now. It's really sick and craven.
Very sick. Well, we're so grateful for all the work that you continue to do to expose the tyranny and the corruption. Thank you so much, Senator. We appreciate you.
For years, Senator Johnson has continued to focus on vaccine injury claims, calling for increased transparency from federal health agencies. Meanwhile, our military members are being reinstated for being let go, I guess you could say, during the Biden administration for not taking the jab. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was on the Hill yesterday.
Thank you for the question. Not only do I think it was reckless, but we point out the nature of the emergency and lack of actual data on it. We think it may not have been legal. And as a result, we're working very hard to ensure that any service member who was pushed out is brought back in. If they were forcibly pushed out with back pay and rank and everything that comes with it, those soldiers and troops of conscience who had to make that choice, we think are the best troops in our force.
Listen.
And while testifying, Hegseth was grilled by Congress on the war, Trump's leadership, and so much more. He didn't come to mess around. Here are some of the hot takes from his testimony.
How do I explain to my constituents that while they are in harm's way, their commander-in-chief is posting these unhinged posts?
How did you explain to your constituents what happened on October 7th, or what happened in Afghanistan, or what happened with the debacle and the withdrawal in Afghanistan, where the troops were left? How did you explain that with Joe Biden's leadership?
Mr. Secretary,
how did you
I'm not
explain that to the
asking you
Marines
about
that
the
didn't get
previous
medals,
administration.
that we restored their medals because of that
Mr.
disastrous
Secretary,
withdrawal in
I'm asking
Afghanistan?
about
Did you
what's
explain that
happening
to your
right now.
constituents when Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel and he had an AWOL
Okay, Mr.
Secretary of
Secretary,
Defense?
how
I don't
about
think
this
you did.
next post? How can I
didn't.
explain? Do you believe that the president is mentally stable enough to be the commander-in-chief?
Did you ask the same question of Joe Biden for 4 years?
Mr. Secretary, Joe Biden is not the president. Mr. Trump has been president for a year and a half, and I'm asking you
did
right
not,
now.
and I won't even engage with the level of disparagement that you're putting on the commander-in-chief, who indeed is. Meeting
Mr. Secretary,
every single day.
Mr. Secretary, Biden is not the president.
Sharpest, most insightful commander-in-chief we've had in generations. And you want to compare? You want to ask that question after you and your fellow Democrats defended Joe Biden, who could barely speak and didn't know what day of the week it was?
you know,
he governed through an auto pen.
when
he had a Secretary of Defense who went AWOL for a week. I can't
Mr.
be gone
Secretary,
for 10 days. For
I
10
will.
minutes
I will
without
reclaim my
someone
time.
looking.
Thank you so much.
Gentlelady's time. She
Thank
reclaimed it.
So,
Astonishing.
as Mr.
was our concern that something.
I'm going to pause you there. I'm going to give you a chance. Secretary, I'm going to
You're
give you a
disparaging
chance.
me that I don't care.
I'm
about
asking
the
you whether you
passing
think they're
of-
liars or not.
You
That's what I asked
you
you.
are disparaging me that I don't care about the passing of our troops.
Nope.
That
I asked
think
if you
our
thought
troops
they're
are-
liars, Terry.
That's disparaging and
reclaim my
smearing
time.
in every way. Nobody cares more
Gentlemen,
about the fate of our troops. Nobody cares
Mr.
about the
Mr.
health of our troops.
Mr. Secretary,
Nobody wants to bring them all hope
Mr.
more than I.
Secretary, I understand, but he
You
controls the
don't-
time. He controls the time. You get to control your answer. And the gentleman's ready.
If we're allowed to answer.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Secretary, my question was clear, whether you thought they were liars or not. You don't seem to want to answer it. We can move on.
So they haven't
never have it.
So they haven't broken yet. Okay, we haven't gotten there yet for all of the.
Well, their nuclear facilities have been obliterated. Underground, they're buried, and
Whoa,
we're
whoa, whoa,
watching
whoa,
them
whoa, whoa, whoa,
24/7.
whoa, 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 whoa.
So we know where
Whoa, whoa,
any
whoa, whoa,
nuclear material
reclaiming
might
my
be.
time for
We're
just
watching
a quick
it.
second here. We had to start this war, you just said, 60 days ago, because the nuclear weapon was an imminent threat. Now you're saying that it was completely obliterated?
They had not given up their nuclear ambitions, and they had a conventional shield of thousands
So
of missiles.
Operation
They're
Midnight
at the
Hammer
weakest
accomplished
moment.
nothing of substance. It
You're
left us
missing-
at
you're
exactly
missing
the
the
same
point.
place we were before. So
Their,
much so
their
that we had to
facilities
start
were
a
bombed
war.
and obliterated. Their ambitions continued, and they're building a conventional shield.
All right,
of
let me
missiles.
try again.
It's the North Korea strategy. You know this very well. The North
I
Korea
know.
strategy was use conventional missiles to prevent anybody from challenging them, so they could slow walk their way to a weapon. President Trump saw Iran at its weakest moment, took an action to ensure, in a way that only the United States of America could do with our Israeli partners,
And yet
to
they
ensure their
still haven't given
conventional
up the nuclear.
shield was
All right.
was
I
brought
have one
to
other
heel, which
question,
we've done.
if I could get to it.
He's amazing to watch. Hegseth defending our commander-in-chief and the wonderful role of our military. More to come here on My Mornings. We are going to check in with the Artemis II astronauts. They're back in the spotlight, visiting the White House. We'll take you there when we come back.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
We have the whole Artemis II crew here: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen from the Canadian Space Agency. We are here at the White House in Washington, D.C. What an honor to be a part of today's ceremonies. We went out, flew around the moon, just an incredible mission. The thing that I think we cherish the most is we landed as best friends, and the entire world was a part of that mission with us. So thank you all for supporting us, and never stop exploring.
History in the making at the White House as the crew of Artemis II makes a special visit after bringing America one step closer to returning astronauts to the moon. They made a successful trip, as you know, in a new golden era of American space exploration. The astronauts met with the president in the Oval Office to mark their significant mission.
We have some people that have captivated the attention of the whole world, not just our country, the whole world. And they're very brave, and there was a lot of rocket under them. I never saw anything like that. We were talking about it. It's I don't know how they do it. I wouldn't want to do it, but it takes people like this to make our country great. And again, I've never seen anything. Everybody I knew, they wanted to see the launch, and they especially wanted to see a successful landing. And Jared, I want to congratulate you, what you've done at NASA. I made a great choice. And if you have any questions for any of us, feel free to ask. But we're very proud of these people. They have unbelievable courage, unbelievable. A lot of other things too, by the way. To get in there, you have to be very smart. You have to do a lot of things physically good. So I would have had no trouble making it. Physically very, very good. Maybe a little bit of a problem. I don't know, sure. We'll have to try it sometime. Is a president allowed to go up in one of these missions?
We can get working on that.
We'd have no problem, right?
We'll launch more rockets. The opportunity.
We'll have to try it. Congratulations very much. And by the way, the families are over here, beautiful families, and they're in the Oval Office, and they walked in, they said, wow, the Oval Office. Everybody likes the Oval Office.
So you heard the president. He just asked the media who was inside the room. If you have any questions for them, please ask away. But they didn't. And they're catching a lot of flack this morning from the administration and so many Americans. The president took questions afterwards, and not one reporter had a question for the astronauts. History in the making. A successful journey around the moon where no man has gone before, and they didn't have one question. Pretty rude, but that's the media. Let's see how the markets are opening today. Looking at opening bell numbers from MarketWatch.com. Pretty good when you're looking at the Dow. The S&P 500 is doing well this morning. The NASDAQ down just a little bit. A cautious start to the new day. There's mixed reaction on big tech earnings. Alphabet and Amazon came out strong. Meta, heavy AI spending showing some weakness. Oil prices are near multi-year highs, fueling inflation worries. That's all tied to Iran. When it comes to the Feds, rates are steady, but inflation is still a concern. So all in all, a choppy day so far, but not looking too bad. In your news to go as you start your day, let's look at the president's schedule for today. At 8 o'clock this morning, he held an executive meeting. At 10:50 this morning, he will bid farewell to the UK royals. The king and queen visited New York yesterday. They are back in Washington, D.C., and will leave the United States today. Then at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and then again at 3 and 4, he'll be inside the Oval Office. At 2, he has an executive order signing that's closed to the press. And then at 3 and 4, the president will hold policy meetings in the Oval Office. For full coverage, you can log on to LINDELLTV.com and also download the Lindell TV app. Now to our Bible verse of the day coming from the book of Proverbs. The Bible says this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. And we leave you today with sights from Florida.
Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control. You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS, while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater, and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. all the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they've rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LindellTV, over 40